All right, let's see. Let's see. You can. Looks like the red bar is moving, so you should be able to hear me. You guys let me know how the sound is working tonight. Oh. The scanner. I was like trying to go through beforehand. I was like, man, look at this thing. It's all over the place. The birds say hello. Let's see if you guys can hear me. All right, all right, all right. Good. You can hear me. Sounds good. All right. What's going on, Q? How's everybody's evening? What the heck is the check mark? Oh, verified. Huh. I don't know what the verified is. That's new. All right, so going into today, so pretty interesting day. Interesting enough, I actually had a chart, that Apple chart that I looked at last night from a guy. I forget who it was, what the guy's name was, but we're looking at the chart. And you can see actually where the overnight was. It came back and filled a gap and actually took off crazily today. It was pretty nuts, right? I guess going into earnings, it was happy, but very interesting. It kind of went up and it based. I was just literally looking and I was like, huh, interesting. But yeah, it ended up going right off a gap area, so pretty funny. Yeah, I mean most things, today was actually not a bad day at all. So, let me lower this down. All right, there. Perfect. All right, so overall in the currency realm today, more or less, the dollar CAD continuing to push to the downside, but besides that, everything was more or less flat, at least within the last 24 hours. Any movements were more or less erased. You can see the euro dollar up 17, pound dollar down 20, dollar yen up 18. Oh, the birds are like. Oh no, hold on one sec, guys. The birds decided to tip all their food, and they're like, no, feed us, we're gonna die. Oh, one sec. But anyway, more or less across the board, you're able to see. Basically flatness. Dollar CAD is the only thing at minus 68, which is really kind of like, hey, listen, that was a good day. It moved more than it should, right above where the ATR is. So again, that was something pretty successful. But look at obviously, Aussie dollar 17, nothing big. Euro pound 26, and then pound yen 1. So 1 pip in 24 hours is nothing to really be bragging about. And again, that's one of those things where it's kind of like, does that really count as a day, or can we get that one back? And you'd have to say that that's one of those things that just is not going to be what? I just gave you food. Now they're all excited. They're like, sunflower seeds, yes. Wait, is Josh back? Wow. Welcome back, Josh. We're actually just talking about you. I hope people sent you messages. I was telling them to send you messages, and I was like, guys, feel bad for Josh. I'm like, he is homeschooling 5 kids. He hits 8:30 and passes out, so hopefully he'll be back soon. Yep, and get my butt kicked by this homeschooling, quarantine, and sickness. Yeah. Well, did you guys get sick? Or did you guys just get quarantined? I hope to God you guys didn't get it. Man, with that many people in one house, that'd be horrible. That'd be rough. Man, I hope you guys didn't get sick. So far as the KTS family goes, we've just had extended family. I got sick, not COVID. Oh, okay. Whew. Yeah, Debbie's son-in-law got it. He's home now, I guess. But yeah, he had it, but never actually confirmed. Like multiple tests, nothing. Always whether negative or inconclusive. Was on ventilators and everything, and finally came home. So, but that's the closest to the KTS family that I know of anybody that has it or got it. So yeah, regular sick is fine. I've been battling allergies, kicking my butt, and homeschooling. Yeah, let me say, I'll tell you this. So I've always believed that teachers definitely don't get paid enough for what they have to deal with. Now that the parents are doing the homeschooling, it's like the parents are definitely not getting paid enough to do this. That's all I'm gonna say. I just want to know: is my tax money gonna, am I getting a fat check for doing all the homeschooling? Is what I want to know. Oh, it's rough, but yeah. So I don't know. The end looks like it's near. I don't know. The last update we got, they were extending the homeschooling aspect to May 15th. And I asked my sister. So my sister's from Austin, Texas. Her kids have already canceled it for the year. And I was like, so does that mean you're doing homeschooling till the end of the year? Or because they're not going back, they just decided to that's it, bam, we're done. Because I feel like at this point, if they cancel, I feel like I've gotten robbed. Yeah, a lot of parents have figured out it's probably not the teacher's fault. Maybe. Now that James, that would be way too much common sense. There are definitely people out there that are still going to blame the teachers. Exactly. Shouldn't have to pay taxes. Our schools are done. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean ours are not done yet, and the teachers are like, "Oh, when we come back," I'm like, "Are we coming back?" I mean, like as far as the reopening goes, I mean, are we doing it? But yeah, I don't know. So anyway, guys, as far as the news goes today, you can see the advanced GDP number. Actually, the advanced GDP price index was off, but so was the advanced GDP. It was worse than expected. And that adjusted. It was 3.9, went to 4, and then the actual came in at negative 4.8. So there was obviously some price movement there. Um, Carl got dinged on that one. He's like, oh, I didn't check about news. And that's why we always check, guys. It doesn't matter what time of day. Again, you guys are more well-rounded traders knowing that you guys look at currencies because you know that there's news releases that can happen all the time. He didn't look, and it kind of popped on him. He made it back, but it happens to the best of you. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. My daughter's in high school, is a high school teacher and coach in Texas official. Yeah, no school. But Ernest, that's the thing. So there's no school for the rest of the year, but do you still have to do the homeschooling? That's what I'm wondering. Because if they cancel it, and I've been doing homeschooling for 2 months, I'm going to be pissed. Is my take on the whole thing, right? Yeah, they're just automatically at this point going to be like, "Yep, everybody passes." It's like, what have I been doing for 3 weeks? Yes, they are. So they are doing homeschooling, but they're not going back. Yeah, no, no, they're gonna lose currencies first. The one of them's already started. The second one he's probably not ready yet. I don't think he's mature enough to understand it yet. But the oldest one is. Yeah, I'm so done with this. Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Fed funds rate obviously stayed the same. Nothing too exciting there. The Chinese non-manufacturing PMI was actually a little bit higher, showing that there's a bit more of expansion there. And then obviously the business confidence in New Zealand was actually not as bad as what it was previously. So that's a good sign too. I saw a couple different rumblings today about how Australia and New Zealand took different methods, and New Zealand is basically past it now. And a couple different countries, talking about being past it. It's interesting, like I said, there was no way to do this thing right. We'd never done it before, but talking about how the countries that did not necessarily do the social distancing seem to come out better. Um, eh, we'll see. I mean, again, we'll see how it turns out at the end. Our schools aren't giving failing grades; only C's are better. Yeah, but at this point, yeah, I mean, closing borders is fine because you don't want to bring other people in, but just with the people you have, I mean, once it gets there, it's there. There's no point in really closing the borders at that point. Um, and it's New Zealand, you're kind of protected, right? They said they might open it between New Zealand and Australia. All can contain. Yeah, I mean, what? So the whole thing about the borders, one, in case it does turn bad, you don't want to overwhelm your system or overwhelm the the healthcare system. But two, mutations typically will happen by continent depending on how they got there and when So it's kind of like if you can get everybody through with some type of non-mutated version, you're probably okay. And then you have immunities and everything else. But what you don't want to do is kind of do like the Aztecs and the conquistadors, come and give them smallpox and wipe everybody else out. So closing the border is not necessarily bad. They said they might open it. Yeah, right. All right, so that's what we got going into tomorrow. And again, the oil number. I do think this is really funny. I mean, you guys remember what I said last night on oil? I was like, listen, this could come in at 9. Does that mean we don't have a lot of supply left over? And it did. It came right in at 9. I thought that was pretty funny. I wasn't guessing 9 last night, but it was just coincidental that I was like, hey, it could come in at 9 million, and that still means we got a heck of a lot of oil. And it came in at 9. So I had to laugh when I saw that number today. It was pretty funny. I'm tired of this Corona book a flight. Hey, it's really cheap to fly now. You can get some cheap flights. All right, so going into tomorrow. Oh, I have a cough. No, I just want allergy season to be over. I'll be quite happy when allergy season's over. So tomorrow morning is where we have a lot of the flash GDP numbers coming in, and obviously they're all negative. The previous, and again, this is quarter over quarter, so they're expecting them to be bad because you're comparing it to the end of last year before all this started kicking in. And some of these figures are high: 4, 4.2, 3.7. Obviously, the monetary policy, the main refinancing rate will come in at 0. CAD GDP is expected to be 0.2, so actually a little bit up month over month from where it was last month. That will be an interesting number to see how that turns out. I'd be kind of surprised. I wouldn't quite say I mean, Canada, I know more people have gotten laid off in like the last couple weeks. So I don't know how that their GDP month over month would actually be rising, but I don't know. Maybe the forecasters know something. I mean, I'm not in Canada. My wife just, she talks to her family and friends that all live there still. So not sure how that the GDP is going up, but we'll see. Unemployment claims tomorrow as well, expected to be 3.5. That's actually held firm all week. We'll see what that number comes in. I know that the number is actually not correct. In Maryland, they're having a huge issue. They put like a new system in here, and the new system is locked. Like every morning people log in, and there's like 40,000 people online ahead of you. So I don't know that the unemployment claims numbers are actually. I don't know if they're actually correct. So many people seem to just be like not able to do it. So I have one friend that her and her husband are both off. They actually run a business, so they qualify for the PUA, and yeah, they're like neither of us have been able to do it. We've spent hours and hours and hours every day for the last week and a half. Can't do it. This new system locks us out. We're not. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. What do you got? 50K on calls. They pay, oh yeah, nice. Elon is so funny. He's like the best CEO. He's like the best and the worst CEO ever. Personal spending numbers also should be interesting. Obviously, people are not spending as much, but then at the same time, people are spending more on some things. But negative 4.8% is a lot. And that's everything. I mean, when you click on this one, basically it's the adjusted value of all expenditures. So I mean, obviously, oil, gas, and things like that are in there, and there's certain things that are not being necessarily used as much as they were before. So I'm curious to see how close we are on that one, and that could give that may give us a potential positive boost in the market tomorrow if that's not as bad as what we thought. As well as Chicago PMI, they're expecting to be 38 this time. Last time it was a huge surprise. Oops, go on. There you go. Last time they expected to be 44 and it came in much, much higher. This time they're expecting 38, so they're expecting it to be much, much lower than it was. Yeah, we'll see where it falls out on that one. You know, this could come in the 41 range and it wouldn't necessarily be horrible. So, I think there's definitely some news tomorrow morning that could give us a positive boost into the indices. So, we'll see. We'll see. It should be interesting. Again, the most important thing is going to be to see where price is right before those news releases. Because if the forecasting is wrong, the market will have to readjust to it. So, it's so funny that you say that. No, cool is. That's kind of like what weekends are. Like you see all these great setups. You do your chart reviews on Saturdays, and you're like, oh god, I can't wait till Monday. And most other people are like, oh god, it's gonna be Monday. But like that's like the worst thing about trading, and being a trader is like Saturdays there's like nothing to do, and you're like, can't wait till Monday. Want Monday to get here. And that's even like in the middle of the week or the beginning of the week. You're like, come on, I just want oil. I just want, I want this news release to happen later in the week. Like non-farm is always a great one. You're like, oh, come on, gonna be Friday already? Not because you want to go out partying or drinking. It's like because like the trading opportunities are just so good. The Fed won't declare mission accomplished. Plenty of kind of news all over the place. China's reopening has been rocky. Yeah, I get it. I mean, again, I don't trust any of the numbers or information that comes out of there. So, you can't really say that. This is interesting. Munchin says won't be a bailout for the oil industry. That could be interesting. As that further continues to unwind, as they talk more about that. Yeah, we'll see that. We'll see what there. Again, FOMC statement reiterates using the full box of tools. Powell, obviously, again, they're going to use everything. News out of Gilead today that shows that there was a positive effect on the virus. I think that's pretty interesting that we do have some positive news now, as well as I saw 2 different companies have had positive results thus far. I know in 2 of them have been advanced to human trials already. One of them, I guess, like the monkeys they were infecting were not getting COVID-19 when they expected them to. So I don't know. I mean, they're saying it could take up to 2 years, but we're already seeing people in less than a month going into human studies now and human trials. And people volunteering. They're like, go ahead, inject me. Do it, bro. Inject me. Give me the needle. And, getting initial results back from that seem like they've been pretty good. So, yeah, I can never say it. Remdesivir? Sorry, Trump can't say it either, but yes. Remdesivir or whatever it is. Josh is crashing. Josh, it was good seeing you, buddy. So yeah, Remdesivir, is likely to be announced today. So great news. They did halt Gilead trading for that one. Obviously, I mean that's such a huge deal. I mean they had already had like millions of doses that they were going to donate and things. So, obviously the stock price is going to move on that one. That's a big burst for them. And it just, they had a drug that worked, and, that happens. You get lucky every so often. So great news on that front. Like I said, more and more states are talking about what the reopening is looking like. People are reopening. A lot of these horrible numbers now, remember, most of these data numbers are all lagging. They're from a month ago, right? So we will start to see, potentially more positive numbers. The big question will be is, when do we see a positive employment number? And I think that's what's going to be the most interesting. And I'm pretty excited about that is getting those positive numbers, seeing this unemployment number drop down, back down to normal ranges, and the actual non-farm payroll data actually be positive. I think that'll be really cool. And again, by fall, we should see some huge bang up numbers there, which could be really cool. Just in time for the election. Speaking of the election, that took an interesting turn today. I don't know if you guys, I don't see it up here because, again, this is not really the sites that they put it up on. But all that Tara Reedy information today, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that or not. It's not up here, but I heard Democrats were kind of backstepping and swirling some things around, and the media was not falling for the swirling effect. And yeah, interesting how this is unfolding. That's their candidate, but now their candidate has some allegations that are pretty serious. And yeah, all those same people that wanted to deny certain justices and other appointments, haven't heard from them today. Interestingly enough, I'm waiting because, again, they want justice for all, but there's some pretty serious allegations out against a specific individual, and happens to be the presidential candidate. So with that said, it should be interesting to see how that unfolds, because that would have a direct correlation over into the economy. As hot as the economy was before, if a certain individual gets reelected, it'll be even crazier. It will go not only rebounding from this, but it will go even farther. I mean, because they will drag these rates as low as long as they can possibly go. So yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be crazy. All right. So with that said, let's jump over into the charts. Okay. All right. So first things first. CBAs are all saying they're not going to televise White House meetings going forward. Yeah, I mean, why would you need to at this point? I mean, there's really nothing new that you would need to televise. I mean, like I said, it's like, you could say the same thing every day, but it's basically been on repeat. There's some questions you're trying to catch the president, but why? There's no reason to televise it. The other thing, too, about it is, there's enough people that stream it online, is they're not getting any ad revenue or anything. People are watching it online on YouTube. YouTube's making revenue on it, but nobody else is making any revenue on it. So why put it on? Right? There's no point. Absolutely no point to do it. All right? So, Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar on the daily, we talked about this level last night. We marked it off these two teal things, and you can see that the price has actually started to pull out of it already. So interesting setup overnight. I told you guys I needed it for it to get really kind of up top. That's what we were looking for. And you can see that we did actually get up in that range today. This is the hourly chart, and you can see basically last night, about an hour, 2 hours after chart school, we ended up punching up and tagging that level. And as you can see, it came all the way back down and grabbed that old level that we were using before, that one that we saw yesterday that we had the tops in. Coincidentally, what did we have here? We came up, we touched the zone, we Harry Pottered it back, and then boom, we pushed forward again. Again, lightning bolt, right? Up, down, up. Just the opposite of what Harry's is. So pretty interesting. Again, good zone. We're in an area where, again, I could definitely see some weakness come out of this area. Again, dollar strength, Aussie weakness to the downside. Now, it's interesting that, again, we had a zone here. We're sitting in a zone right now. And it actually shouldn't, there you go, I say that should be disappeared. Yeah, and there's where current price is right now, so you guys can see it. But you guys can see, again, that hand-drawn level that we did yesterday came up, tagged the zone that we talked about, pushed back down again, and that move was about 40 pips. So it was a pretty nice runner, and again, it hit pretty late last night at about midnight my time. The bounce happened this morning about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we came back up, and you guys can see we had the, for the most part, we tagged that zone about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we can kind of bounce in sideways, and then we just pushed out of it. So it's pushing, it's kind of doing what we expected it to do. It did come up. It came up faster than we thought. I thought it would take a bit longer. I didn't think we'd do midnight. I thought we'd do probably 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's where the second attempt happened, over in this range. But first one came in just 2 hours after chart school happened. So good for it. It pushed higher. Right now, I would say I'm bearish this position. Even dropping down to a 30-minute. You can see we've gotten a red, we've gotten a green, we've gotten a red push down again. This zone is still going to probably give it a little bit of a hiccup. You can see that it's actually painted a green zone in there. But after that, for the most part, we're pretty much clear back down to this level here, right? I mean, there was a zone here. right? You could draw a zone right in this area, but you can say, hey, listen, we've hit it here, we've hit it here. And again, both times it was not a fast exit. We come back down again. That's number 3, right? And that's getting some, getting some ground to actually start picking up some steam. So don't know if this one will actually hold again, but that'll be a little bit of a speed bump. And again, overall targets on this one will most likely in shorts come back down into this area, the 164.44 range. Okay. ATR wise too, again, this one only up 19 pips, so it's kind of stabilizing. We got a couple big candles in here. Remember, it goes back 14 days. But where price is right now, if you look to the left, you can see we're just kind of above where we are. It's 83 pips is what the ATR is right now. The average on this one is about around 50. Like 55, I'd say 45 to 55 is kind of what the average is. You have a good moving day, 65 to 70 is kind of what normal is. So, it's right there. But again, we were talking about this one getting higher up in the curve. This is a little bit of an aggressive zone. It's not quite all the way to the top, but it was based off those hourly and 4-hour zones for a short to the downside. Okay. Looking at Aussie Yen. So Aussie Yen, kind of the same thing. You guys can see we ended up coming up into that zone. This one, it made this first attempt. Let's see. This is on the 30-minute. Let's see where we at. Right here is the push that the Aussie dollar did and actually hit that zone once. This one didn't quite make it. It got turned around, came back up again, and then we hit this one at about 2:30 this afternoon, and that's kind of been where we are. Now, we did push up, did put a fair to go higher in, and are now starting to kind of push. Now, we are, it is Wednesday. We do have 2 days left. Gives us a little bit more running room for the week. And kind of the same idea where this, where current price yesterday was when we were talking. I think price will come back down to 69.31. It's not a bad level. Like I said, we took a pop off that level, so I would be a bit cautious holding your shorts through that. But I think your shorts are probably good. Again, put your stop above where the current price is. It's not a bad level. And you can see there's a little bit of a basing that we're kicking off of right now, but not bad. Lower highs. Here's a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and again where we are right now. So we'll see if this one continues to have that steam to the downside. Kind of yen strength, and basically the same setup, same two things. I'd be bearish looking for the two of these going into tomorrow. Euro yen, yeah. Euro yen, it is taking a bounce now out of that level. Where we wanted this one to come down to, man, it turned on us. It was so close. We were within 12 pips. We were within 12 pips. We've been waiting. It's like, just go lower. Go lower. It's so close. And we got really, really close, and it started to turn off. So it is going back up. It is going to run into some sellers here. So even on the lower time frames here, you can see, up in this range is probably not a bad short. I mean, there's a wick over wick right here. That is what this came off of. But setting up something along the lines of this is probably not a bad little position. The 1610, the 116.10 range. It's rather small risk. You can see on the top side here, you're only talking about 7 pips risk on that one with the spread. So not too bad. Nice little 3-to-1 tomorrow morning. That one actually we could potentially get there for the European Open. Now remember, the European news, let me drag this back in real quick. Remember, the European news starts kicking in at about 1:30 a.m. Eastern. So 1:30, 3, 5, and then 7:45 is really where the big kind of oomph, this monetary policy statement. So this one does have some time to kind of get up there. It does need to move. I mean, it's only about 15 pips higher, but its 30-minute ATR is only 10, and obviously that's coming down because we're in the overnight. So the big question is, are the European markets going to move this before the news, or are they all going to wait and hold for the news to come out? That's going to be the big thing. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think at this point, I don't think there's any longs I'd play until we get back down again. So you guys can see from the bottom, we rallied about 55 pips. So it was close. I'm gonna have a party when it finally hits. It's close. It's there. It's right there. But for the most part today, there really wasn't many other trade opportunities. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Right, this is basically all in here is where the current market was. There's a little bit right here, but even with this, you guys can see you would have missed the zone. Even with that, I don't know if you guys can see or not. There's just space right there. So didn't even trigger off that one, and that was about 12:30 today. That move, the turn on this one was obviously the 10:30 this morning. So kind of one of those ones. Kind of hard to get into. Like I said, I think if we get a little bit higher, you can see here, it just has really done nothing till from about 2:30 this afternoon. It stayed in the same exact area. The euro yen has really just been disappointing. It's one of those things that it has the occasional good day, but for the most part, this one is just boring to watch. And today was a prime example of just not a lot of movement. So get a little bit higher, 116.10 to 116.17. It looks like we do have a potential short. Nice kind of basing area. It popped sideways, drop, retest, went right off that zone, and then collapsed 4 candles to the downside. So that's actually not a bad one. I think that'll be something that it's probably worthwhile taking a shot off of. Pound yen. All right, so pound yen now we are at a raging 6 pips. 6 pips in 24 hours. Okay, is what we got going on here. Here's your hourly. All right, so as you can see on the daily, we are still kind of in this flat basing level. Your 4 hour, kind of the same idea. We had one drop and it retraced. And again, on the hourly, you can kind of see that. Here's where we are right now. And then this is this morning. And then right here is where we were last night for chart school. So what did it do? Went all the way down. It actually went lower, which is kind of, oh no, it didn't go lower. It went right into the zone and then came all the way back up again. So this goes back to that whole kind of, is it a trader's market or a holder's market? And it's definitely a trader's market. I mean, this is a pretty big spike to the downside. I mean, you're talking about 100 pips down and then 100 pips right back up again. And this kicked in right about 2 o'clock this morning. And looking at that, what came in what came in the morning? Right? Not much, right? You guys can see there's really not much in there. And again, this is just the, standard fluctuations of the movement of the market. I watched we watched it on Facebook. They don't want to have free airtime, and it will be airtime. Yeah. I mean, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere, right? And there's no commercial breaks during it, so they don't make any money during it. So there's no reason for them to broadcast it. It's all about the money, all about the Benjamins. So where price is right now, I would say that I'm probably bearish this position as well. I do like the way that this thing popped. I think that is a pretty nice movement. It ended up going lower than what we thought it was able to do. We had marked off that zone down here, but we can move this down. Very, very clean drop in base, and then this thing exploded at about 8 o'clock this morning. So. And again, that 8:30. That's at that 8:30. You guys know what you're all well. You guys all know what that number was today, right? That was the advanced GDP numbers. That little kind of skyrocketed, and it's because of the yen, right? But we are pulling back up again. So for me, also, I would say there's some shorts in here. Different levels you can take this off of. I mean, there's probably the best one, although we did peak slightly above that. It's still probably the best zone, and like I said, a little bit of a spike, but. The way that these candles are formed, it's not really a bad level, right? You're talking about 10 pips risk. Even if you wanted to take it to the top, you're only talking about 15. So, I mean, if you move this zone here in that zone, it's still not a horrible zone, right? Looking at it around there. I mean, you're 1 to 3 right here. Not a bad spot, right? Your 1 to 5 is not even a horrible spot either. So there's your entry. And your 1 to 3 is sitting here. 1 to 5 down here. Actually, you know what? I'll just drag more out. Makes more sense to do that. Those are kind of your two areas. Either profit target 1, profit target 2. So we're kind of right there right now. And like I said, the way that this looks, it looks like it's going to hold up pretty well with the way that this is pushed down again. There's a little bit of a zone above. It is kind of in the middle of the curve, so again, it kind of loses points as far as freshness. And that's just, again, being in the middle, it's what you're going to have to do, right? Top and bottom are the two best areas. And again, this is still the best zone sitting all the way up here. And we mentioned getting up to there. It just was unable to do it today. It just continued to push to, to the downside. Okay. I want the code for that stop entry. On your chart for Thinkorswim. It's pretty easy. All you're doing is basically taking a Fibonacci. If you don't use Fibonacci, all you're doing is using Fibonacci code to be able to change it around and use it. Right? So pretty easy to see. I mean, if you guys don't know how to do this, again, this is kind of and again, you can get risk to reward tools, but here, listen, I'll show you. Here's what I have for levels using this tool. Whoops. It's not gonna let me get bigger. But you can see right here. I have the entry set at 1. The stop is at 0. So there's my 1 distance. And then 4 and 6. What do I have? My 1 to 3, my 1 to 5. A little tricky, huh? A little tricky because I don't use fibs in this one. All right. So yeah, very, very simple, but it works out pretty nice. It's easy to draw. Now there's plenty. I mean, like I said, Thinkorswim does have some risk to reward tools that you can probably download in there and get. I mean, they got everything else known to man. It's just, the charting is kind of weird. Yeah, but look, right? It's one of those things. If you don't use it, you can reset it that way and then save that as the parameters, and then it does the automatic draw for you because that's all it is doing, right? I mean, Fibonacci tool, you're just drawing it from two things, and it places percentages based off of your entry and your two targets. That's all it is. Yeah, just make it simple, right? Make it simple, but it works out great with this tool, right? So that would be the pound dollar, or pound yen. Pound dollar. All right, so pound dollar here. Let me refresh this real quick. Not that nothing really changed for the most part, but you can see 4 hour, very, very small kind of bit of movement today, right? This one had a total of about 21 pips. So let me drop this down to we'll drop to an hourly, right? Kind of the same big drop and then kind of the same retrace. Okay, so here's where we are sitting right now. Okay, right, and here's where we were sitting this time last night, right here. Okay, so it did rally up. It didn't quite make it to the zone that we're looking for. It did form a new zone, crashed back down again, and it went right to here. You see this, right? Right there. Okay. Again, we talked about that level last night. It crashed into that zone and then came back up again and touched the zone that it formed at 2 o'clock in the morning and then continued to push away, right? And there was your 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. It hit just about an hour ago. Okay. Yeah. So again, this is why I mentioned this yesterday. Looking at these before the news actually breaks is very, very important. So the news today came out right here at the 8:30 number. And what did I tell you guys? What is the rule for, trading news? Look at it and see where price drives it right before news. So what did it do? Here's 3, here's 4, here's 5, here's 6, here's 7, here's the 8 o'clock window. Half hour before news, it was sitting inside of and this is an hourly zone, not a 30-minute. I think the 30 was actually marked. Yeah, you can see it down here. Same zone. Marked it off. What happened? News came out, all the way right back to the top. Okay. So again, that's why a lot of these setups that we've had recently, this has not been a holding market. So the analysis that we do for the next day has been a little bit more challenging because what we're getting is really kind of flat moves. In 24 hours, it did nothing. It moved 20 pips total, which is just junk. But what did it do? Top to bottom, you're talking about 90 pips down, and then you're talking about, about 95 pips back up again. And it's set up in both directions. But it's all kind of on smaller time frames that we've been looking for, right? So again, crashing into news before the news release comes out is a telltale sign that, hey, listen, it knows what the number's going to be and it's going to react accordingly to it. And that's exactly what happened here. Okay. So big question is for tomorrow, what do we do? Okay. So what I would do is I would kind of see also what happens in the overnight. Let's see where we're at. Now, this zone has been pierced pretty deeply, so I don't know that would be a valid zone to take. Remember, for tomorrow morning, let me kind of get this back in just to make it a little clear for you guys. Apply filter, bring across. So tomorrow morning, again, we have some European numbers at 7:45, but at 8:30 again, we got all this stuff. Okay, a lot of 8:30 numbers. So the way you need to handle this again is you need to kind of get on there at 7:30, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, see where price is driven. Okay. Now there's a zone sitting right here. Obviously that's right, but it went off of this basing level, so I'm not going to use this, right? Actually, did it mark it off? No, it actually didn't catch it before. It was catching this one, but this is a little bit cleaner. This is a retest of this. So again, this is the first clean zone down here to the bottom side. Pull back this so we can see it. So, whoops, I kind of need the top. What I would do is I would say, okay, listen, if price is sitting somewhere in this range tomorrow morning, I'd be looking to go long and have to find a very, adjusted risk level based off of where it is. If price is sitting up in this range, I don't know that I would use this one tomorrow morning for news because this top one here hasn't been tested, this 124.93 up until 125.17. Talking about 18-20 pip range there. That's probably where I would say, hey, listen, if we're high, take that short. If we're low, take that long. Or see, again, maybe we reestablish another level tomorrow morning. Maybe we come down into this zone into here, pop up nicely, and there's a zone sitting in the middle. So yeah, I mean, We're gonna have to find it tomorrow morning, but it's the same setup, right? The same thing. This was a zone that we were able to see last night, a rally, a base, and then boom, a punch off of it. Had not been tested. We knew it was clean. Price rallied into it right before the news release. That's when you take advantage of it. Boom, got long. And again, 90 pip runner on that one. So that was pretty nice. Would have loved to grab it from the top side, but it just didn't get that high. Again, there's nothing you can do about that. It turned on that little tiny level there and then just tumbled and then set us up for the retracement. Okay. Looking at euro pound. So euro pound on the hourly, you can see this one came up. You guys see where I have this little white bracket right here? I'm going to move this out of the way. Oop, not that. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to move this. You guys see what we ran into? So here's that one target that I said was a bit more aggressive. The white was the better option here, right? Again, that's where current price is now. Okay. And look, if I extend it across, you guys can see right there. Boom. There was your hit. There was your risk to reward, even in a flat day. Okay. And again, you went all the way back down again. Now, once it hit that, right? Once we hit that at about 10 o'clock this morning, that was basically it. We were basically done because that's exactly where it is right now. It did go down and ended up taking out the 1 to 5 as well before kind of retracing. Did not go all the way through the retracement, which again kicked off at about 2 o'clock this morning. But again, that was the zone we were talking about. It was a wick over wick. It had been tested once, tested again, and then kind of launched itself away. This was a bit more aggressive. Again, it was on the lower side. Nice push off of it. And you can see when price hit that level, it did push down and then stopped and then started to kind of push forward and, went higher. So again, another level that we marked off. Nice little runner. I don't think this one was a huge gainer though. This was only about 21 pips to the downside. So not bad. I mean, if you took the whole move on that would have been about 44. The 1 to 5 was about 33 to 35 pips in there, depending on what your entry was on it. But we did get enough entry in there that you would not have had a problem actually getting into that position. Okay. Again, I would say it's still a valid zone at this point. That zone for you that don't have it or can't see it is sitting approximately at 87.50 up here. But that zone's probably good tomorrow for another hit. See where we're at, Again, that European news at 7:45 tomorrow. If we're up in that area, play it the same exact way. If we've driven up into that zone, take it short. Downside, problem with the downside is there's a bunch of like small levels over here. We don't really have anything super clean until we get down into this, and this is a huge zone, and it's not necessarily something that I'm like, oh yeah, I love that zone, but probably I think the best that we have down here is what we marked off, but still about 32 pips. It's still quite a big range. Back and check that one out. There. About a 10 pip area. Actually, you can lower that a little bit. Yeah, it's probably fine. You can see, yeah, we don't have much clean until down in this level here. Okay. All right, so there was our setup today. And again, I would still say that this zone is valid. Okay, we're still probably good for that area for another short off that 87.50. All right. We'll remove that guy right now, and you guys can see too that one came through, tagged it, and continued to push lower. Harry Potter guys, look down, back up, boom. So there's a break there. All right, let's go into euro dollar. So euro dollar on the hourly. All right. This one just bounced from top to bottom. You guys can see we came all the way down. We mentioned, hey, listen, if we can get back down here, we're going to hold. But if it comes up to the top, make sure we get into this one ahead of time. Now, this one ended up hitting the zone here, that little kind of dinky zone that we talked about at about 4 o'clock in the morning. It pushed down. Here's that 8:30 number, and it kind of popped it up again. So we didn't actually hit that top zone until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Have now pulled away from it. It obviously, very valid trade. We just dinged the 1 to 5 about an hour ago. Again, that's dealing with the curve, top to bottom. I would say based off of that entry, it's probably good for maybe one more hit, maybe. Excuse me. Bottom side, we're still good. I would actually shrink this down a little bit on the bottom side. I would actually make it there, right? Because we know the price is already pushed through. So instead of using the entire level, bring it down to about 11 pips there. It just shrinks it just a little bit, right? when it comes through that level. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, it's basically bouncing, from this bottom level here. Again, we had a huge spike off of that. That huge spike occurred at 2 a.m., 2 to 3 a.m. when all the other pairs moved. European Open popped all the way up, grabbed some kind of weird levels up here. I mean, none of these are super clean levels. It turned, but this would not have been something you would have grabbed the top on. Where it did turn, it retraced all the way back again, a parabolic retracement trade down, and then has rallied all the way back up to the top. So again, I'd be looking for short positions in the overnight. Look for it to come back down here into the, 108, probably 20-ish range. Again, it's going to have to do it before the European Open, because once the European Open comes on, all the power is moving back into this pair. And right now, there's nobody trading it right now, right? Or very few people. But come morning time, the European, once the London Open happens, all the power that drove this morning will come back into the market tomorrow. And like I said, we have flash GDP, Spanish GDP, preliminary GDP, and then the main refinancing rate starting at 133, 5, and then 745. So chock full of news releases for the euro tomorrow morning. So you're going to make sure that you have some, pretty conservative zones, top and bottom, to, take this. If we do pop, again, shorts in here. We have shorts that come out of this range if they retest, and then we have longs down here from the 107.39. Logan to dollar CAD. So dollar CAD. Remember, if you listen to the media, guys, the CAD is basically dying. It's in a horrible position, but yet we're back down to 183, or I'm sorry, not 183, 138. Remember, everything last week. I wish I could go back and look at news stories from last week, and you guys will see. It's like, oh god, the CAD is horrible. With oil, it's just going to die, and it's going bad. And you guys can see what it bounced off of on the hourly. Okay, came all the way down and hit that zone, and we talked about it yesterday. Look for any type of bounces and see how that reacts when it gets close to the area. Not bad. Not a whole lot of entries that we've been able to get. I mean, we spent a lot of time basing here, right? We really didn't get any movement until about 8 o'clock today when that news came in, and all it did was basically give us the impulse correction and then an impulse move back down to that zone. So, we are sitting in a zone. I don't think it's necessarily a bad spot to be in right now. Would I be willing to go long on it? I don't think so. Let me see. Be a zone. It's this 4-hour zone right here. It's a zone that I think will hold, make us go sideways a bit. As far as going long off of it, this thing really needs to come back into kind of where its equilibrium needs to be. And 138 is still a little bit on the high side. I mean, this was obviously crazy, the 146 area. I think a buying area would be much better down here. Now, I know that's still about 100 pips away. It's not necessarily what you want to hear. And it's a valid level, right? We had basing and it launched its way off of there. But, it's been really trying to push back down. And again, oil has not been doing anything crazy. The last week, 2 weeks, I mean, it's been low. I mean, like we all know it's low, right? And when I say crazy, the actual price of oil is crazy in itself, but I'm saying it's not like it hasn't gone from like $15 up to $35 in the overnight or anything like that, So, there's no reason to justify, this 10-cent move just because of what oil is doing. The Canadian government has its own news as well. So I think the 137.78 is going to be a better area to take buys off of down here. All right. Obviously on the lower time frames, there are some smaller levels in here, but nothing that I would say is, kind of super explosive, especially in the overnight. There are, small levels here, small levels up top. But I mean, look at this. This spent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours basically stuck in the same exact area. Basing, just kind of going sideways. The tops and bottoms, again, went down, came right back up. Went down in 2, came right back up. Based, went down, and then finally was able to collapse out. So 10 hours in the same exact area is basically showing that there's nothing going on, right? I may have bait a little into today. Yeah, I mean, if you were short this position, again, this was the big mover. I mean, we're down 63 pips. This is the biggest mover of the night last night, right? Had you been able to get into this one, right? Had you been able to get into this one? And again, there's a few signs, but nothing. It's like, yeah, it's great, But hey, if you got in and you were short, you were good to go on this one. All right. Bring this one across. Dollar yen. So dollar yen actually just bounced off of a level. You guys can see it. It's kind of coming up and around. This is another one of those positions today that it was kind of like, I mean, we expected more movement, right, in this. It didn't really come to the top or bottom area. It just kind of flatlined. So here's where we are currently right now. And then last night we were sitting right around here, right? All we did is we dropped down a little bit till about 4 o'clock in the morning. At 5 o'clock, it kind of came across. Here was the GDP pop. It kind of retraced back down again and then kind of stayed in that same area until about, 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. We had another little bounce back up into that level. So yen didn't really quite have the movement. I was hoping we'd get more today out of it. I think the unemployment number will provide a bit more tomorrow. But this one's moved 16 pips in 24 hours, Not that that's all it moved. I mean, we're here and we went down. But I mean, again, we were sitting right here last night for chart school. We went down 20 pips and went up, where we are right now, about 12 pips. So kind of hard. I mean, if you grab the top or the bottom, you're good. But for the most part, there just wasn't enough in that. Not enough meat, right? Not enough meat. I do think tomorrow, though, we will have a bit more movement off of it. I think the unemployment number is going to be a bit more of a focus number. Okay. Excuse me. You guys can see the zone that just came off of them. But even so, look at this. One little drop down, kind of went up and then rode it for what? 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. All right, 4 hours. From noon till about 6, it just stayed in the same exact area and laid flat and dormant. And even when it finally popped here at 3 o'clock, it popped up and then it stayed more or less in that same area. And if you do the channel, you're talking about 9 pips. So, yeah, not a big mover. Not a biggie, right? Looking at this guy. So, look at this zone. We took a pop off, and you know what? Let me change the colors real quick. Boom. Right there. There's your 8:30 window. Okay. Now, same story. What do you do when news drives into a zone right before news? You're looking to go long or short, depending on what type of zone it was. So, right here at this area, right? What did it do? Bam, it slammed right into the zone for news and then turned and then shot right back out again. So even the dollar Swiss had the same exact setup today. After it had that kind of retracement, it didn't do a whole lot. But yeah, yeah, drove up in these upper levels. So you could have actually ridden this in 2 different directions. You could have ridden this down and then ridden it back up again with a parabolic retracement. So yeah, thank God it moved today. I don't think, we'll see. It should move tomorrow, Friday. Wait, what do we have Friday? Yeah, we have ISM. So, yeah, there's a chance it'll move the next 2 mornings, but really only for news. Besides that, it just kind of grinded its way down into that level. Chart school last night was right here. Okay, so we are, from where we were last night, we are 9 pips away. It's 9 pips higher than we were last night, but provided a bounce of 30, a drop of 30, and then a rally of 49. So there you go. Like I said, top or bottom, I think we're still good either way. This zone I don't think is going to hold again. I think we will break out of that zone. But we did spend a bunch of time over here. I mean, you can draw. There's a few levels down here that are sitting there. It's there. I mean, it's really there. It's kind of what you're looking for, right? You can see there's a touch, there's a touch. So I don't think this area is going to hold again. I think, again, if you're going to start looking for longs, I do think we need to go a bit lower on this one. I think you need to, if you're looking for good long targets, I think down here at 96, 80 is probably a better range. This zone has been kind of, oops, you guys can see it. Formed here, touched, 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 touched. So if it's able to breach that yellow, look for a short. Okay. It's the greatest pair on earth. I don't know. Is it? I mean, you had a 30-point move top to bottom today. And you were like, yeah, 30 points. Yay. I mean, it's all right. I mean, the CAD moved double today, at least in one direction. I don't know. It's all right. I mean, I don't know. I think there's other opportunities out there. This worked out quite well today, but most days it's not really the most fun. It's kind of boring. Like I said, Ty would follow it, and Ty liked it because it didn't move until it hit like a zone. But I think it's boring. It's like, you remember weeks ago when like the dollar CAD didn't move? It just was like, holy crap, it's been in the same area for 3 days. That's what this pair always feels like to me. Although I will say, in all fairness, the euro yen I think has taken over as the most boring pair at this point. I'm just saying. I think that's the most boring pair. All right, look at this guy. Look at the spike on this one on the NQ. Now, we had this level drawn. Remember, we talked about this level and getting in at a proper level. As you can see, we got pretty close. And I was watching this one. I was like, oh, what time is it? What time is it? Here's what happened, right? Here's the 8 o'clock. here's what happened. It got super, super close, drove all the way back down again before kind of going back up again. So quite interesting in the fact that the position got front run. It retraced all the way back down. And, we were up at, let's see. When I was looking at this, we were up here at 89.18, and we collapsed all the way down here to 89. I'm sorry. Yeah, 89.20-ish. We went all the way down to 88.20-ish. So you had quite a big move in there. And when you would set this one up, originally when we talked about, getting this position in, there's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So in this one candle, it's like, oh my God, it came right to there and then went all the way almost down to the 1-to-5. So it was one of those things that's like, oh God, we just missed it. And then if we waited longer, what would have happened? It hit and then came about 2/3 of the way, then based in front, then popped over. And then what did it do? It Harry Pottered on us. It left the area, it came back and used that same level of risk and then launched itself forward. So the original setup we had last night, it got front run. It went all the way down to where target needed to be and actually went past it. And then it came back up and hit the zone a second, basically when it finally did hit, it based right in front of that line and then Harry Pottered and went the other direction. So a lot of movement in this one today, right? I mean, this is give you a visual kind of picture of this one. Let's see, I'll use this one. This is where current price is right now, right? And make sure it's right. And then this is where we were last night, right here, right there is where we were last night. So again, in the middle of the range, but man, I saw this and I was like, oh, it's right there. And it turned and rode back down. So good day. 1840, 1848, 130 to the top from where we were last night, or to where it is right now. So nice day in this one. Now, with such a big burst forward in this one, though, the way that it's forming, to me, it looks like in the overnight, it does want to kind of pull back down again. This is a big burst to have at 4 o'clock p.m. Again, this was the closing price here, right? Again, seeing a red, a little bit of a green, a little bit of red, a little bit of green. It looks to me like it wants to retrace. Let me mark this so we can only see it on the lower time frames. Off relation. Again, that's where we were. Yeah, see, we're sitting in kind of this area right here. I was trying to see what we were really running into. Yeah, we're running into a level. Let's see. So you can kind of see what we ran into, right? 4 hour, that type of a spike into a 4 hour zone typically leads to a bit of a retracement. So, yeah, we can see this kind of turning and flipping back to the downside. I wonder, can we see? Let me see if I can see that zone here. Too far back. Oh, we can. We could probably shrink it into that level right there. Yeah, it's a bit higher. Yeah, so you would have needed the full bit of it. Yeah, if you would ever find this one too tightly, you would not have gotten the entry. There we go. Oops, not that one. That one. Okay. So it's pulled away a bit. That zone kicked in at 91.25, and we're down here to 90, 90.40. Again, anytime there's a big spike like that, that's where you're looking for a retracement. So again, this is let's see. I'm curious now. Let me see. Oops. The microphone. I really need to hang this microphone is I think what I need to do. Because right now it reaches across the desk and I keep bumping it. I'm curious to see if there was a touch bracket up at that level. I wasn't paying attention. This is when I was eating. Actually, I was with a baby at this point. Let's see, what do we got here? That out. Let's pull this up. Let's pull this in. Let's look at tech. 91.25. Yeah, look at this right here. When that zone hit, there was a 91.28. 3 points higher than that thing happened. And you'd be up. The indicative from this one right now is giving us at 90.66. So, how about that for a nice little, nice little 70-point mover? Yeah. So again, there was a touch bracket sitting right in that level. Not too bad. Let me see. Was there a call spread? Yeah, right here. 91.20. So, two different ways to play it. And again, 91.20 would have been what you wanted to play here, not the 91.70. Remember, with the touch bracket, there is no stop loss, right? It can keep going and going and going and going. But when it broke that area, this was technically out of the money. It was probably a bit cheaper. You could have probably got it for about $15, right? Because typically when it's right at the money, it's about 20 to 22. Being a little bit on the side, it probably would have been about that range. But even being down at the at 1920, that means at 1900 you were making money, and we're $40 past that. So you're already up over 2-to-1 in that position had you gotten short there. So, yeah, I had a first class seat on that NQ flight. Yeah, I mean that was a great NQ trade. I mean this thing just again on that retracement, nice thing. And then again, I like the short. The short's been great. I mean you're up 1-2 already. If you had taken the call spread and the touch bracket, you're doing well as well. I mean it's just lot of stuff in this one. A lot of stuff to do with this NQ trade. I like this one very much. Okay. Here's that zone we talked about in the S&P. Now, this one kind of bounced around that level a little bit, right? Came up, touched, kind of came up again, gapped, and then it's kind of stabilized. S&P, like I said, you guys can see, it did on the hourly come up and grab it. I had drawn this, I think I drew this, yeah, I drew this one off of the top of the body here on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, right, on the 1 hour, you can see where it came up to, right? I'll take the actual yellow off because that's the 4 hour zone. And you guys can see what it ran into, right? It ran right into that hourly level, right? Kind of the same idea, kind of turning and flipping back to the downside, but also came up again, got front run and pushed higher. Okay. Again, that's where our price is currently right now. All right. So same idea, same kind of bounce, same move to the downside. Let's see. I don't know if this one, I didn't actually check this one beforehand. Let me see. Here. See, that was 29.64. Yeah, there's a 29.67 right here. Right? And again, that got to a peak of 29.66.80. How about that for close into a zone there? So you would not have gotten stopped out in that one. It would have been close, right? It would have been close, but you stayed in, and yeah, it continued to push to the downside. And again, at that 26.66 level, you're already down to 29.47. So again, moving away quite nicely. All right. To me, this one looks like the same thing in the overnight. It looks like this one will continue to push down. If we can get back down to this level, I think that's a good level for tomorrow. If we can get there before the news release, there could be a potential pop off that zone. But again, we'll see what forms in the overnight. That's going to be the most important thing. That news is at 8:30 tomorrow morning. So again, between 7:30, like 7:45 and 8:15, you should be able to find a level and to see if we are driving into a level or not. And that'll be where to set this trade up. But again, some good levels out of this one today as well. Dow. So the Dow did push higher. It still has not broken over the gap. Nothing we can do about that one. And this was kind of our least favorite. There's really not a whole lot in this one. You can see, going back, we had this big zone right here, and we took a bounce off that zone. That happened right here is where we were from last night on chart school. So, I mean, it was already hit about halfway through. It ended up coming up and hitting that zone and pulling back again before it kind of just stopped and kind of rallied down on the zone. So, unfortunately, of the three, this one was like the worst one to be going long. The other two I think were much, much better. This is kind of the laggard between the two. So, this was a great trade. But after this, it didn't, from here down to about 7 o'clock this morning, it just didn't really do much. Didn't really give us a sign. Was still in between two areas. Had not approached a level top or the bottom. It was just literally kind of sitting in no man's land. So you got the same pop, but it just wasn't there. I mean, of the three, this was what I would say is the loser of the three. It just wasn't pretty, right? Again, and this one has been, the industrials have obviously been lagging behind. NQ is always going to kind of lead. All right, so let's do the three crazy ones. So let's look at gold. So gold. So here's where we are right now. Again, this is a 30-minute chart. You can see all the news came in approximately in this area here today. So again, choppy back and forth. I actually thought we would get a bit more movement top or bottom, and it maintained more or less a sideways area until about 3, and then we got this kind of spike forward, but we're even unable to get to the zone. So it just wasn't there. I really thought we would get more movement out of this one. I thought in the overnight we would get to a better area, and it just didn't do it. It just didn't unfold that way. It went much more sideways than I thought. And again, they expected the news to not be great, but I thought gold would have a little bit more power, and unfortunately, it didn't on this one. So, I would still, maintain that, we have the shorting area above if we can get there tomorrow. For some reason, if we can rally higher and, again, go over be able to bump through the sellers that we have in these two candles here, that puts us an opportunity tomorrow morning to get short before the actual news release itself. Now, silver, on the other hand, silver actually had some price movement in here. And when I looked at this one earlier, this is where silver was earlier. Okay, I was looking at this, and we had marked this zone off last night, this 1526. Now, had you played this one, here's your 1 to 3, right? I'll extend this out. Whoops, not to there. No cheating. Right there. Top and bottom of that zone, look what you tagged. You hit your 1 to 3. So this one came in pretty well. It did spend a bunch of time up there. It would have made a lot of people nervous. It's like, oh, God, it came all the way down and then went all the way back up. And it came down. It's like, oh, God, what is it doing? But again, if you had faith, if you walked away, it actually went down all the way to where it should have went before turning and then flipping back higher. So the zone was valid. The zone worked. The zone got hit 3 times before it finally broke. So it broke when it should have broke, right? It gave us the trade. It gave us the 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. So the zone was good. Now, again, the zone will disappear now because it finally did get broken through. I think at this point you need to focus on this kind of higher section here, and then again, obviously, continuing this piece across. There is a small zone here. It didn't turn at really the most beautiful of areas. So it's a small area. We could potentially, you could put something small there, but like I said, I think the safest options right now are the 1546 down to the 1495 for silver. The zone yesterday worked great. I mean, it shown us that was going to be not a bad area, but it worked for it. It hit it 2 or 3 times before finally hitting its target on that one. So right now, kind of no man's land. We're right in the middle, even off this little level. Wait till it hits either of these two, and we can roll from there. All right, so crude oil. Here is the crude oil chart from yesterday. Oh, no, that's not that one. That's the Apple chart. There is the crude oil chart from last night. All right, so if we take this level, again, and extend this level across right to there, you guys can see exactly what we bounced off of today. So when oil came out, the news came out, it was sitting right around this median level right here. And I mentioned, I was like, listen, there's a small level there. It had kind of bounced here at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It had bounced again at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then kind of went up again right around that 10, 11 o'clock time frame. It had hit it a few times. After it hit it here and here, it's like, oh yeah, it's basing right up there. It's pecking away. And again, this is one thing, whenever you're drawing zones, if there's a basing level before the zone, it's typically a telltale sign that they are stacking, whether buyers or sellers, in that zone to kind of punch through, right? They're testing the level, building more support, punching, building, building, and that's exactly what it did. And then eventually just popped through. It hit that top zone and did pull back. So, I mean, we went from, 1650 back down to 1490, according to, Daily FX's numbers. And, again, that would have, about 2 o'clock, right? 2 o'clock is when we hit the zone, and then it bottomed out around 6. So, it hit that level. The level's valid. We're sitting up there again. We'll see if it gives us another, short, piece tomorrow morning. We'll have to watch in the overnight again. Typically, oil, you want to be kind of trading during U.S. market hours, or at least when U.S. traders are up and online. In the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not typically the most active market, but it will continue to move when U.S. traders are online and the stock market is open. All right, so again, I'd say we're probably overall short this position. We could shorten this, this area up, and again, start using some of the levels here for a true sell off of it. If we did that, you'd be looking at, probably that level right there. Whoops. That level right there, and that comes in at 18 bucks. Again, nice top here, touched it here, and both times it's been able to kind of force this back to the downside. So that's kind of where I'd be looking for, kind of setting shorts up at. Again, this zone was a great kind of upper range, but the zone above it actually shows us there's sellers there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So with that said, I didn't do it last night, and Marina won last night. So she's in today. So I will give you guys about another minute and a half. I'll do it at 1:11 tonight. Josh is in there. His city must be opening back up again. The daughter needs gas money again. But I'll give you guys another minute to get ahead and get in on the drawing. And remember, if she wins, she's our first back-to-back of 2020, and she will get 100 pip chips. So we'll see how it turns out. Mayo gets in with one. Mayo, how you doing tonight? Mayo, are you the one that asked about Apple? I forget who the heck it was from last night. I need to go back and look. That Apple chart is pretty interesting, the way that it bounced off some of the levels. It's interesting how well it's rallying with, It was you? Okay, cool. I'll do this drawing and I'm going to pull that up for you. I still have it up there, actually. Yeah, I still have it over here. It's interesting to look at. All right, 30 seconds more. I know you guys are about getting that last ticket in. That's why I want to make sure that I don't switch over ahead of time. But yeah, Mayo, we'll look at it real quick. Yeah, I left it up just so I could see, leave kind of the drawings on there. Unfortunately, I think the drawings popped off. Some of them are still on there. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and boom. All right, here we go. Ready? James is like, I'm getting two. And look at this. Girl's only got one. She's highly confident she can pull a winner out. All right, here we go. Winner of the drawing of tonight is... Ooh, look at that. Man, that's it. Will's not going to win again until 2022 because that's two that he's gotten this year so far. And he's back on Ernest's heels again. Will is back in. I know. That's twice in 2020. So, Will's... I think he's pretty much spent. He's already spent his winner for 2021. All right, so let me pull this up real quick because Mayo came back tonight, so I wanted to pull this up. So Mayo, interesting enough, remember last night where we were, right? We were at... Basically, right here was where the market closed, right? Because, yeah, here's where that piece comes in. So we mentioned we had a little bit of an area, but we ended up gapping past that area, right? This is where 415, where some of the data starts printing again. Here's where the market opened over here. So interesting enough, right? Here's where yesterday's data kind of stopped and ended. Check this out. If you take the gap, and again, this is how you play gaps, look at the bounce out of that gap. Now, this zone ended up getting blown up. It came up, it based in here, pulled back, and it slowed it down, but it wasn't enough really to kind of, really kind of force this thing to slow down. But look at the bounce off of that gap area. Pretty interesting. And I saw that, and I was like, Now, again, we're talking about 15-minute candles, so it's not, this is not the, the highest quality of things. But the gap is still sitting here. You can see it much better. And again, you would have had to more or less take this off the top, and that's what it bounced off of. Like I said, you go too small, you run into issues like that. This is actually how we should have drawn this one. Here's the retest of that area to show us there were sellers. And when it did hit that level, when it hit the level here, it ended up pulling back down to this range. So it was actually not a bad little short, and then it Harry Pottered. You hear me talk about those Harry Potters? Well, look at the Harry Potter. It punched through the level, it gave you white space, it retested the level, and then it launched itself higher. Right? I can't really... I can draw a box, right? Regression, quadrant, line. I can do Fibonacci, but it's not going to let me do it the right way. But anyway, yeah, so I mean, hold on, let me draw another box. If there was your risk, right? Let's change this box. Ooh, no, I don't want another box. I just want, no, I want one box. Oh, man. I don't want to draw anymore. No, stop drawing. No more drawing. All right, there we go. All right, so if there's your risk level, it's this box. There's your risk level, right? You were over 1 to 1. So there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. 5-to-1 risk to reward trade off of Apple of a broken level to the top side. Not too bad, right? Same thing down here. It's more or less the same. This one's a little bit bigger from that gap. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. Back up into this range. So a 5-to-1 off of that level. Now, the level here, again, remember on the 15-minute, it was a little bit too low. I really needed to do it off the peak over here. There's 1. There's 2. And it went right to the bottom of that. You were at a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio. But again, for the day, we already knew it was up. So you're more or less looking to stay with the trend. You're waiting for pullbacks. And that's where you got the pullback. So even if you had taken the short, you were up 1-to-2 on the same type of risk off of Apple. So again, it doesn't matter what chart you're looking at. Why did I name it Harry Potter? Here's why. I will show you. Hold on. Harry Potter is hold on. Because there's his scar, right? So let's take this. We'll do a red pen. What does price do? Price comes through the level. It creates a little bit of space. It retests, and then it goes higher. You guys got it now? Damn, I wish you knew how to chart properly. I haven't seen that movie. But you see, now do you guys understand why I called it Harry Potter? Because it's the exact thing. And then, I could always take this and flip it the other direction, right? But that's what it is. It breaks, it comes back, and then it goes higher. See? See, there is a method to my madness, right? In this case, what happened? Can I just do like a freehand drawing? Please, can I do freehand drawing? No, I just want to do freehand. Can I do freehand? No. Oh, I can doodle. Here you go. All right, doodle. Let's change this color to, I'll do it with red, right? So what do we do? Whoops, no. No, I want to doodle. Okay, up, back, up, right? The same as Harry Potter's. Up, back, up. Guys get it? You guys get it? Come on, Harry Potter trade. I should get extra credit for this. But yeah, same thing. So, I don't know how to delete the drawings. No, I want to. Come on, give me an eraser. Oh, that's why I hate dealing with some of these. Like, no eraser. Oh, wait. Undo. There we go. So yes. So Mayo, it's the same thing. So supply and demand is basically figuring out where buyers and sellers are. In this case, no. Undo. Clear drawings. Doodle. And like I said, we're looking for tops and bottoms. Gaps. Always important. There's your long, right? This zone up here. Again, this would have been on the top side. So you would have had to pick a red zone and say, okay, listen, this is the top of the range, right? It would be here across. Okay. Now, is it okay if it breaks? Sure, you're going to take losses. But if you were able to go down here and say, okay, well, here's my risk of reward from there to there. I'm going to do a couple of these, right? Right? From that zone, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, right? So even if that was the only one you took, you'd be fine. Now, again, we know that they started off bouncing off a zone. We know that for the day it is bullish. So if you didn't want to take this one, all you're waiting for is a pullback, right? It gave you that Harry Potter right there. So you could have taken these 3 again here. Even if you had taken all 3 trades today and say, oh, listen, I set it and forget it. I walked away. And look, you can see that it did go over that area. But, oh, man, I got stopped out. Okay, so you have made, at this point, you made your 3 here. You didn't make your 3-to-1 here, right? So let's just say you, oops, not that one. we took a loss on one, right? So total, one of these bad guys, we lose one of these. Those come away. So right now we're only up 2. But then, again, you took this re-entry and you got this one here. You got this one here. And you got one more sitting at least right here. And it obviously went much farther than that. So tack that on even for the day. 3 trades, 1 winner. Oops. 1 winner. I'm sorry, 2 winners, 3 losers. Your profit for the day is this. Bam. See how that works? You end up with a +5 for the day. I assume that the scar is just a continuation. Yeah, it's considered a momentum breakout, is what it's called. Is the technical term for it, right? It's a momentum breakout. That's all it is. Yeah, but by calling it Harry Potter versus a momentum breakout, you guys will remember it a lot more. But Mayo, this is why it's important to understand these. But you see what I'm saying? I'm not using fancy charting. I'm not using all this other stuff. And like you said, here's where all the volume came in at. Like here's okay, what did it do? It drove down, drove down, drove down. Why would price from 4 o'clock in the morning go down? Well, obviously, the market knew what was going to happen for the day, right? Do you want to buy it up here or do you want to buy it down here? No. So what did it do? It opened sitting in a gap zone where it closed the day before in that level. Boom, continued to go higher. Had you been wrong, you lose 1. You focus on 1 to 3 risk to reward, stack your 3 here, and again, you made your, again, 1, 2, 3 there. You got your 1, 2, 3 there. And even if you had taken that other little tiny one, oh well, you took one little loss. And you were actually up 2 to 1, so you shouldn't have actually taken a loss whatsoever. All right? So, with that being said, guys, it is now 10:20. My baby is running through the hallways. We have chosen that she's under 2 years old. We're not allowed to give her melatonin, but holy crap, this child stays up till midnight every single night, and we can't get her to sleep. So she's like, I'm waiting for Dada, so I need to go put the baby to bed. So I'm going to bolt. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the news release at 8:30 in the morning. Mayo, make sure you come back tomorrow night as well. Again, tomorrow night we will break down kind of some levels and things like that to look for Friday, and then will be our final chart school of the weekend. So you guys take care. Thank you guys again for attending, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.